is up, my fellow mobile gamers? In today's video, we got our best guide for equipment gear in the brand new RPG mobile game Infinite Magic Raid. This game is basically Raid 2.0 with a lot of quality of life features that Raid Shadow Legends doesn't have. So I've been enjoying this game nonetheless. Let's jump over and talk about equipment because this is very, very important aside from having
top tier heroes.
When it comes to equipment, we have three different main things to talk about. We have gear sets, we have rarity, and we also have a star count. Now, the star count will dictate how high the base stat is. So the higher your star count on a piece of equipment, the higher the base stat will be, and it will also increase more as you enhance it. Good example we have right here is this defensive set chest piece. 2 stars, we have a defense plus 240. At 3 stars, we have a defense of plus 360. And if we go ahead and we enhance that 3-star one, you'll see that we get a 36 increase, whereas if we enhance the 2 stars, we only get a 24 increase. Next up we have is rarity. Your equipment can be common, rare, elite, epic, all the way up to the maximum, which is legendary. The rarity of a piece of gear will determine how many substats it has unlocked once you get it. We take a look at a common piece of gear, you'll notice that it initially has no substats. But if we go ahead and we enhance it every 4 levels, we will unlock an extra substat attribute. Now, if we take a look at an epic that it already has 3 substats unlocked, then once we level it up to 16, we will unlock the final substat. Now, having a high rarity piece of gear is extremely important because it not only means that you start off with more substats, but once you do level up your piece of equipment into those increments of 4 levels, it will buff one of your already unlocked substats. So the higher the rarity, the more substats can be buffed. So for this instance, we have an epic piece of gear. Once we level this up to 4, we will get an increase in one of these 3 said substats. So either our mastery will go up, attack rate, or effect res. It's completely random. Whereas if we had a common piece of gear, once we hit that level 4, it would only unlock one of these substats completely randomly. You have everything from HP increase, defense, attack, you have leech, crit rate, crit damage, there's just a ridiculous amount. All you have to do is equip 2 gear pieces from the same set to get that set bonus. By clicking the little eye icon right here, you'll see that we have the wild set bonus twice, that we are getting attack plus 8% and crit rate plus 15% for this character. So you can go ahead and you can mix and match them. You don't necessarily have to have 4 pieces of one type of gear. You could have something like 2 pieces for crit damage and then 2 pieces for crit rate. Now, a big question that everyone's gonna have is, well, which gear do I put on what character? Because you don't want to put the wrong gear on the wrong hero. So a really easy tip that I have, because I necessarily can't go through every hero and tell you which gear piece to put on them, but what I can show you is kind of like a quick way to get an idea of what gear you should put on them. If you click on your hero, it will show you your basic attributes. Again, we're going to click on the eye icon and it will show you a breakdown of all of our stats. Another thing that you can also do is if you click the more button, this will give you a detailed explanation to what each stat means in case you have no idea what it means. It tells you what speed is, what crit rate is. Tenacity is one that a lot of people can be confused about. Reduces the crit damage taken. But more importantly, what you're going to be looking at is where it says rec. This is the recommended stats that you should be buffing and increasing for that said character. So for this legendary hero we have, it is recommended that we increase their attack, their crit rate, and their crit damage. So very simple, just seeing that right off the bat, you can go ahead and you can just equip them with an attack set, a crit rate set, or a crit damage set. It's very simple. And then you'll have stuff like this guy who is more of a tank character. If we click the eye, you'll notice it recommends defense, effect, hit. So this one we would want to put like a defensive set on. And then if we take a look at someone who's like a healer, you'll notice that we want to increase their HP, their speed, and finally their healing effect, so that way they put out more healing. So it's really simple. Just click the eye and the game does a really good job of just recommending what stats to increase for the different types of heroes. One thing that you will notice with your gear is that your base stat is always a raw number. There are other games where you can get base stats that will have a percentage roll. However, this game does it slightly different. And this is our first artifact that we have. You need to awaken your hero in order to be able to put artifacts, and then you can go ahead and you can raid. There's a special dungeon area that you can do to get said artifacts. You want to look out for the artifacts. They are extremely strong and they will give your character a huge stat increase. We take a look right here. This is a really strong artifact I have. Our crit damage is increased by 17.6%, and that just increases as I enhance this. We have a mastery of 5.4, effect hit of 3.1, and a defensive rate of 8.9. All percentage rolls, absolutely amazing. So that is going to take me into my next big stand that people are going to be questioning is, well, what is better when it comes to percentages or just raw numbers? And also, what is better when it comes to rarity and star count? Because I have this accessory, it is only a 2-star, however it is an epic rarity. So right off the bat we have 3 substats unlocked with percentage rolls, which is really strong. But then if we look at this accessory, it is only an elite, however it is a 4-star. Taking a look at the base HP stat, you'll see this 4-star is giving us 4,800 while this one is 2,400, so it's pretty much cut in half. However, we're getting that extra substat. Now, there are a lot of variables that come into play with this because you may get certain substats. They may be really strong for a certain hero that you're looking for. So for that instance, it can be better to put on like a high rarity piece of gear that's maybe only a 2 or 3 star as opposed to something like a 4 or 5 star that is a low rarity. So it really comes down to a lot of factoring in like that. But overall, a general rule of thumb is that the percentages are usually always better, and that is mainly because the percentages will scale with your character as they level up. So what that means is if we go ahead and we have a raw number, this is just 122 attack increase. If we have an attack rate of 1.3%, every time we go ahead and we level up our hero and his attack increases, this is benefiting as well. Now, early game, when you first start off, you're going to have a lot of these basic gear sets where you're only getting 1 buff. However, once you do get further into the game, you'll have access to gear sets that give you 2 and 3 buffs. So if we take a look at our forge, you'll see that we have stuff like the Fearless set. This is giving you crit rate, leech, and mastery. So once you do have access to these 100%, you want to replace those other pieces of gear you have that only give you, say, something like attack rate and leech, because you're getting both in one combo. Also, currently there is an amazing event going on right now for equipment. We have the equipment wish drop, and aside from that, you have stuff like enhanced goals and equipment and artifact goals. So you just kind of gotta raid the equipment dungeons and then try and rank high to get some rewards. But the one that I really want to talk about is the fact that if we go to the Dwarven Ruins, we take a look at any of these 3, you'll see that we have, right there, you can see it right there, drop settings. So that is from the event. So if we click this drop settings, you'll see that we now have access to choose which set we want to actually triple our drop rate for. Also, another thing that I just want to mention for new players and just people who are starting off is you don't want to go ahead and upgrade your gear right away, like all the way to level 16. One big thing that a lot of new players do is they'll come in here and they'll have like a high star gear, maybe like a 4-star, but it'll be low rarity, and they'll take it all the way to 16, like a high rarity but low star count, and they'll take it all the way to 16. You never want to do that. Another thing that you also want to do is you really want to pay attention to your substats if you are upgrading a low piece of rarity. So if I was to go ahead and let's say we're enhancing this, When I get it to 12, if I get a substat that is like completely useless for my character that I have it on, then I will not take it to 16. Like if I get like, let's say I get a raw number instead of a percentage, then it's like, it's not worth it. So really don't come in here and waste all of your gold on this. Because another thing that I also need to mention is you're gonna be selling a lot of your junk gear once you get to like mid to end game. You can sell a piece of gear that you've already enhanced and you will get a percentage of the gold back. I believe it's like 25% back of what you invested to enhance it. But you know, that's really not that much. You don't want to waste your gold on bad equipment very early, because equipment is very, very easy to get. Equipment comes and goes at the snap of a finger. Like, you don't want to do it. Don't invest in gear too much early on. What I would do is look for like the epic 4 stars. Those are ones that are really good to invest in early game. But that is it. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments section. Stay happy, stay safe. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Infinite Magic Raid. Play to slay.